see these numbers every day, but for us to hear, we'll give you $3 million.
Yeah, it sounded extremely, we thought they were crazy. Like, why would they do that?
It was literally like, these people are insane.
They obviously do not realize we're sleeping in the office.
In fact, when they did fund us, they realized that we were illegal immigrants.
Well, I mean,
yes, we were.
I'd say it's a gray area.
Yeah, yes, we were. We were illegal immigrants. We were sleeping in the office. We didn't have a car. We had one car, but the wheel kept falling off.
But, well, actually, yeah, the wheel.
Hi friends, welcome back. So I had to play that clip for you of Elon Musk and his brother Kimball Musk as they talk about being illegal immigrants, because you frankly know that Elon Musk is a big hypocrite. He attacks illegal immigrants all the time on his social media. But you know, for Mr. Musk, he attacked the dark ones, but not the light ones, right? I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about here. I'm bringing this up because Musk said some things on social media today that really irked me. And it came at a time when I heard a really positive story this week, which I want to share with you. And actually, it's about the movie Shawshank Redemption, a story I'd never heard before. And chances are you haven't heard it either. Basically, just the story is originally when they wanted to, or were making this thing and casting, they didn't want to cast Morgan Freeman. And I'll kind of explain and get some context why I'm telling you the story now. Again, I just heard it for the first time. And this comes at a time when Musk is like, I'm going to move all my companies because, you know, California has some new school, you know, trans law and blah, blah, blah. I don't think it's really about the trans stuff. It's really about money for Musk, right? He wants to go to Texas to evade regulations, also to better tax laws if you're going to dump all your stock. And the thing is I know other people in the community identify this as well. Mr. Musk has a trans daughter. And you know, just imagine if your dad is on this tirade, stuff like this, and like you're related to said person. I'll just say this about this as well. I've had two trans coworkers in my life. The first time was when I worked at a bookstore. And remember, I used to have conversations with said person all the time. Want to be trans? No problem. I mean, it's just not a problem. You're another human being. Same way, I actually casted, or you can say casted or hired, or you want to say it, a design director that worked with me when I was making a movie, and it was also trans. No problem. It doesn't matter to me. I work with anybody, and I really want to really push that point home, how important it is to work with different types of people. Mr. Musk, and this is what upset me, and sort of why I'm making this talking with you guys today. He's tweeting out basically, you know, racist kind of stuff, essentially, race baiting stuff. He does this all the time. I don't mention all the time, but it's what he does all the time. This one in particular was like, oh, look at all these cartoon characters that sometimes they cast non-white people as a cartoon character, or cast a non-white person as a comic book character, these kind of things. And oh my God, it's a great replacement thing. And you know, he's also retweeting out, this is 59 minutes ago. Look at every Netflix movie. The white person's bad. The black person's good. You know, gay's reason. Women's balls. Dad's idiot. Mom's a breadwinner. Children's cigarettes. That kind of stuff. It's just this race baiting nonsense stuff like this. And the reason why I say it's nonsense is because if you look for this kind of stuff, you're going to find what you're looking for. It is what it is, right? I can point to several movies where the white guy is still the hero. It's still happening. I tell you, my wife and I were going to go see Wolverine, and I promise you, and that's Deadpool, I promise you Wolverine and Deadpool are still going to be the heroes in that movie. I have no doubt about it. I already know who is the casting. It's Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. So, you know, like I said, they're just looking for a fight there. And it's frustrating because, like, this story I just heard this week about, Shawshank Redemption, where they didn't want to cast Morgan Freeman. I want to read it to you because you may not have heard this, because I hadn't heard it, and this actually came from an agent who worked on it. He was telling an old story back on July 10th, so just this past week. I know this person on Facebook, and I don't know him well enough to say, hey, can I just share your stuff on YouTube? So, and just because it was posted to friends only, so I don't, that's why I left the name out. But this is what he posted, and I want to read it again. It's about Shawshank Redemption and Morgan Freeman. It says here, then and now. In 1992, I was a young talent agent covering Castle Rock Entertainment. They were probably the hottest of the independent production companies at the time. I was given a script by my colleague Robert Stein for a film written and to be directed by Frank Darabont. It was one of those buzzy scripts making the rounds, and every agent/manager was trying to get their clients in this movie. This is where I met my old friend, Deborah Akia, who was cast in the movie and, in my opinion, delivered a stellar ensemble cast. I'd called Deb and producer Nikki Marvin every day to pitch the WMA clients, which included Morgan Freeman. Morgan was represented by the legendary Jeff Hunter out of the New York office. who also shared Alan Arkin with, who I also shared Alan Arkin with because they can share clients with together. I sent Jeff the script early on in the process and told him that I loved the role of Red for Morgan, right? So trying to get Morgan Freeman into Shawshank Redemption. And it was a hot script, if you understand this. Here it is. Here it says, the only problem was Red was written for a white actor, right? So the script is like, I don't see any black people in this. That's not going to work, right? but you know, he read it and it's just like, you know, he's trying to help out his client. Plus, it seems like Morgan might be a good fit for that. It says here, I just had a feeling that Morgan would bring this role to life in a way that no other actor could. Sorry, I get upset because like Morgan Freeman's like really good. But this is the kind of stuff that you have to face when you work in Hollywood, right? I also told in no uncertain terms that this was never going to happen, right? So everyone was telling him, you can't cast Morgan Freeman. He's black. He doesn't belong in Shawshank Redemption, right? It doesn't make sense. And they'll say here, Darabont love Morgan, but lectured me several times that in this time in America's history, a black man and a white man would never have been friends in this part of our country, right? So even the director was against it. He's like, no, it's just historically, it's not accurate. You can't cast Morgan, right? After what seems like months of lobbying, so it took a long time, and calling everyone involved, Frank embraced the idea and offered Morgan the role. Shawshank remains one of my favorite films, masterfully directed by Frank, and Morgan is undoubtedly the heart and soul of the film. I was happy to have played even a small part in this process. Years later, I got to work with Tim Robbins in a movie we produced called Life of Crime, and love sharing the story with him and hearing about his stories working on the movie. So again, it's a story that probably a lot of people don't know, and that's why I'm sharing with you, because I didn't know this story. It just didn't even occur to me. Like I'm watching the movie, I never thought, oh, it's historically it doesn't make sense that they'd be in prison together or whatever. It's just irrelevant. Like the story is about two guys and their friends. If you saw the story, it's really good and it's like fantastic. And these are some of the casting that Elon Musk is basically suggesting that these are awful and we shouldn't let these people be in movies. These are recent ones like Jeffrey Wright. He plays Commissioner Gordon in the new Batman movie. Jeffrey Wright is absolutely fantastic. If you can get Jeffrey Wright in your movie, you get him in your movie. He's really, really, really good. And in fact, he recently made a movie. I just forget the name of it, but I'll put it on the screen when I re-edit this video. But he made a movie about being a Black American author recently. It's based on a novel. I forget the name of it at the moment, but it's a fantastic movie. It might be called American Novel or something like that. But I highly recommend because it really addresses this issue of like, how do you think of yourself as being a Black person in modern society and Hollywood entertainment, etc. Musk is like, basically tweeting out that casting Zendaya in Spider-Man was a bad idea, and you'll hear a lot of racist people say this kind of stuff. And I have the same response. Like, if you can get Zendaya in your movie, you cast her in your movie. She's fantastic. If you just saw the recent Dune movie, she's really, really good. Zendaya is great. Here's another one where it was part of the pictures that Musk is saying, oh, don't cast non-white actors, right, etc. This is the Deadpool movie. This kid, I remember him. He's really good. We're probably going to see him for years. I hope we do. But he's really, really good. And this is stuff that like I say all the time. It doesn't matter what person looks like or what your gender identity or sexuality or whatever. If you have talent, you're really good. I will say so. I will tell you guys. And I don't have any pressure to say if like someone is of color and not good. I'll just say it. They're not good. But so because people always say they want a world of what can I say, like equality, but they don't really want it. It's. I gave an example. So Jamie Foxx in Spider-Man. Was Jamie Foxx in Spider-Man very, very good? Not really. I'm being honest with you, not really. But the movie as a whole wasn't really that good. It just wasn't. I think it was the Spider-Man 2. I don't remember the director. It might have been Chris Webb. I just don't remember the director of the second one. But and I think it might have been miscasting. But the thing is, I ask you this: like, if you were to cast a white actor and the movie still turned out being good, would you say, oh, it's all the white actors' faults, like that, like that kind of stuff, And they ended up turning Electro blue, which I thought was weird. His original costume was like this green and yellow thing. I read Spider-Man comics, so I know. So I thought the whole thing was a strange thing, but still, Jamie Foxx is a great actor. Just it was a weird casting there. And I want to point this stuff out too for people like a Mr. Musk or anyone in that camp. Like they only attack essentially a person of color, but they don't think like, oh well, if a white person does things bad, then I guess we just stay silent, right? It's the same way with the illegal immigrant thing, right? So here's an example of Chronicle. If you don't know, and I know because I have friends that are connected to this movie, and I heard pretty bad stories. A couple of the guys that were at the top of it, both the writer and director, all kinds of sexual allegations, and I don't know whatever happened to this guy. But I mean, like, I can't even say this stuff on YouTube. I'll just say not good, in all the worst ways you could imagine. This person says here, Max Landis, or the headline, Max Landis should have been thrown out Hollywood years ago. My friend went to the same school. She went to Brown, but she's an actor, and just told me all sorts of crazy stories of this stuff. How can I even talk about this stuff without? We'll just say she got a lot of harassment in multiple ways from these guys. And the thing is, like, because they're sons of rich people, they can get away with whatever they want. I mention this stuff because, like, this is another type of thing that these people are silent on. It's the same thing with, like, for me, that's frustrating about, say, the whole trans stuff or whatever. Like, people are okay with our, the current election of, like, some dude who's, like, sleeping around all the time, having multiple marriages. Oh yeah, that's fine, no problem. But, like, if someone wants to be gay, oh my God, no, you can't be gay. If you are, of my understanding of what the heck I'm talking about, you'll get it. It's the same kind of stuff where, if someone is, looks like you and looks the way that you want to, you'll defend them no matter what they do. But if there's anything that's even a little bit of hint of, negative stuff for someone of color, you just attack them like nonstop. And it happens. And I want to mention, guys, too, it's not just about color of your skin, of crazy stuff that happens in Hollywood. I'll give you another example. I met the writer of this. His name is Aaron Sorkin, a really famous person. If you're in Hollywood, you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. He actually tells a really interesting story about the film A Few Good Men. And this is a fantastic movie, another great movie. And there's a couple stories with this one. So one is Demi Moore's in it. She's great in the movie with Tom Cruise. Jack Nicholson's in the movie. And Hollywood, the producers, they actually wanted Demi Moore to have sex with Tom Cruise, which would make sense, right, in terms of the script, not in real life, but in the script. And so they wanted to change the script. So and then Aaron, the writer, is like, well, it's not really necessary. It's just not part of the story. And they're like, well, why do we have Demi Moore in the movie? Why should we cast a woman? And the reason why, if you just listen to that, just means that from their point of view at that time, if you cast a woman, they got to take their clothes off and have sex with the main character, right? There was like the perceptions that people have of what someone's role in society is, essentially, and then go the whole deep thing in that. But that's the kind of stuff you have to deal with. I have Kevin Bacon's picture on here as well, because Kevin Bacon's a fantastic actor, right? Absolutely fantastic. If you can cast Kevin Bacon, absolutely get him. He's fantastic. One of my favorites, actually, and you can play the Kevin Bacon game. But it was interesting about Kevin Bacon. He shared a story where normally for him, he'd always want to be the star in every movie that he's in. And that was early in his career, and he ended up taking and making a lot of bad films. This one actually really turned it around for him because he decided to take the small role. I mentioned this because there's all kinds of people out there that could be just as good at Kevin Bacon in this era, but maybe weren't necessarily the same look as Kevin Bacon, meaning that, a white guy. Being honest with you, this is casting. Like, some people have more opportunities than others based on the way that they look. It is what it is. I've lived it myself, and I see it every day, and it's frustrating to me. It's really, really frustrating to me, mostly because I see bad things at the top. Now, it doesn't mean all white people are bad. Of course, it doesn't mean that. But for some people, they can't have any kind of conversation about fairness, right? The point I'm trying to say is bad people can exist in any color. Good people can exist of any color, but you have to be willing to open your mind to things. And sometimes people have gotten shut out for years of roles. I give you examples of the Goonies cast. You guys probably know, I've told this story before. Very popular movie, The Goonies. I grew up with this. I'm 49. Anyone who's of my age, you would know what this movie is. You'd probably remember the Asian kid in the movie. Very memorable role, but he was completely overlooked, right? So Sean Astin ended up going places. You guys know who that is. It's Sam Frodo, or he's Sam, not Frodo, but Sam, and he was in the movie Rudy, but he's been in a lot of stuff. Josh Brolin, who becomes, Thanos. You guys know who this is. He's had a long career now. He's in the Amazon show. I'm having a great career from Goonies. Corey Feldman's kind of a weird guy now, but he had a shot for, I think, in his teens, and I don't know if he got into drugs or whatever, but Ke Huy Quan, he ended up being completely overlooked because Hollywood wouldn't cast him. And just how do you cast an Asian person, right? I guess you could cast him as can you fight? can you be, sometimes can you be like an informant, or there's like very, very limited roles. And recently he won the Oscar because there was a role, and actually he didn't think he was even going to get cast in the thing because like he was so used to not getting cast. He even gave up on acting, I think, for like 20 years or something like that. To completely understand his story, that's why he was so happy to win. And finally now, because we're in a situation where Hollywood may cast you, right? Possibly. And so now he's in like the new Loki show, and if you see him in the Loki show, he's absolutely fantastic. I don't know. I mean, I'm probably going on and on this stuff, but for people who don't know these kind of stories, or don't think in this kind of way, they just think, oh, because some fictional character in a comic book was a white character, and if you cast it differently, it's crazy, right? And it's the same way, like, guys, I'm fine if like there's a character that was black or Asian or whatever, and you cast white. The reason I say I'm fine with it, I want to preface this, is if you're equally casting for all roles, okay? The way that it tends to go, though, is that when you can, replace a character of color, you just put more white people in it. That's typically a Hollywood thing, so just unfortunately. But I'm fine with casting anyone in any role. Just build a great cast. And the other thing, too, you have to think about in this day and age, you're also making movies for not just people in USA. You're making movies for people all around the world. And you may come as a shock to you, but, you live in other parts of the world. Not everybody's white. I live in Korea. I'm clearly not white. I'm not even Korean, but it's you're making for a global audience these days, and but people have minds are closed. I remember, and I'm talking about Daniel Craig here, just talking about guys, like, here's a simple example. I'm talking about just white actors. People were like upset that the dude had blonde hair, and if you guys remember the casting of this, I remember seeing all these drawings of him, like, what's he doing with blonde hair? Who casted James Bond with blonde hair, etc. And the Elon Musk of the world, they would never talk about something like this. If you want to talk about like your affirmative action there, or people who are preference because of skin color, the Tyson Foods Kid, right? He gets his job as CFO as young. I think he might be 20 or something like that, because he's related to the Tyson Food. His grandfather started the company. He's now had his second arrest, been arrested twice. Like, can you imagine this? Like a CFO getting arrested, and the first time he got arrested was crazy. He got drunk, and then like he went to sleep in like his neighbor's a bed, and the neighbors like called the police, like, what the heck is a stranger doing in my house? And I mentioned this story before. Just imagine if this guy was not white. Just imagine what happens if you looked at a different way, and someone walks in the room, and you're in that room sleeping in the bed, like a strange man sleeping in your bed, and because I think the person who because she called the police, she did, but because of course she would, but just the police may treat you differently if you don't look like this, or have a grandfather who's really wealthy, right? So I know I'm talking about stuff that probably people don't understand that well, but it is what it is, and if I can just get this message out to a couple people. If you keep your mind closed, you're going to miss out on a lot of things, and I guess I get frustrated with the hypocrisy in the USA. I write about a lot of this stuff in my book. I always mention my book because it goes deeply into these things. It's sort of my experience that I've had, and also I'm going to show you some pictures. So this is called Positive Angle, and these are just pictures of my life. I know it's very different than most people around the world. I understand that. The more experiences you have with various groups of people, your world changes. That's me right there. And I used to lead these calls at business school with all kinds of people, and I basically called up all these all kinds of people, and I can go through the picture. I'm just showing you pictures, right? People from India, Sri Lanka, Americas, of course, people from China, myself, which I fit in lots of different categories. People in the military, not military, because it matters, because you start to form relationships with different types of people. People work in finance, people work in tech, just different types of people. The more exposure you have to people, the more you understand that there's a variety of people in the world. And again, I understand. I think a lot of these trolls on your Twitters and stuff like that, they live in their mom's basements probably and have no exposure to the world. Here's another, and I'm just showing you guys different pictures. Like, the more you travel, get a passport, right? Fill that up with stamps with different parts around the world, you have different experiences. This is a picture I took when I was in Vietnam. It was fun. It's a Japanese kid sitting next to me, and then there's like American kid, and these are a couple Brits, and that's a Vietnamese guy. I say kid, but we're all dudes. But be able to sit down and have a beer with people from different parts of the world. You just have different understandings of things. This is when I worked on a project in Hollywood. I just called a bunch of people I know, and this is who showed up. And it's just different types of people. I don't know what else to say. And the thing that bothers me about the whole Musk stuff, and I know I talk a long time about this thing, is that he's developing products that literally are to replace humans. Robots to replace humans and robotaxis to replace drivers. And yet he goes on social media about this whole replacement stuff about all white people are going to get erased, stuff like that. And like he's literally building products to erase people, right? Replace you with technology. So I know I probably talk too much, but it upsets me, and that's why I wanted to share a positive story about Shawshank Redemption that you might not have heard before. And just think if we would have kept our old way of thinking of, oh no, we can't cast, Morgan Freeman in the movie because it doesn't make historical sense. But if you've seen the movie, you'll know he's a really, really pivotal and important part of the movie. And I'm just telling you, that movie appeals to everyone around the world. So thanks again for your time, and I'll catch you in the next video.